child. We're here on a status hearing. Ms. Wiggins is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram is with us representing the child. Mr. Hill is with us representing the mother, Ms. Castro. Mr. Hill, I don't see her. Were you expecting her?
Judge, I don't know whether to expect her today or not. I did visit with her on Friday. She sounded very sick. She said she had COVID. She said she'd do her best to be available this morning.
Okay, all right. I do have an Isaiah Castro in the waiting room, but I don't know who that is. And then Mr. Dockery, Jason Dockery, the father, he is also with us. Also, Miley is with us. I didn't mention that. Ms. Wiggins, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Just as a housekeeping matter, we are asking the court to make a finding that the child is not an ICWA child based off the definition of an ICWA child. We did reach out. Her grandfather is a member of the Choctaw Nation. We did reach out to them directly with the ICWA information, and they indicated that they did not believe that she was an Indian child per their definition of Indian child as well. And so we did file that with the court, and we just wanted to put that on record just to show that it is not an ICWA case.
Okay, I made a note of that, and I will make that when I make my ruling.
All right, thank you, Judge. And I would call Shay Grant. Thank you, Judge. Ms. Grant, how are you currently employed?
I'm a permanency specialist with St. Francis Ministries.
And are you the caseworker assigned to Miley?
Yes.
And how is Miley doing in her placement?
Overall, she's doing okay. She doesn't want to be there though. She doesn't really like her school, but she's taking her medication. She's getting everything she needs there.
Okay, and is that medication being reviewed every 30 days?
Yes.
And obviously she's old enough to tell us whether or not that medication is working for her.
Yes.
And has she been vocal to you about her wants and desires and needs?
Yes, she has.
Good. And regarding today's hearing, have you created service plans for both parents?
Yes, I have.
And specifically addressing the father, have you been able to go over that service plan with the father?
I have not.
Okay. Have you been in communication with him?
Yes.
And did he help with the creation of the service plan?
No.
Now, has he been compliant with drug screens?
I've had several meetings scheduled. Each one has fallen through. I haven't been able to get Mr. Dockery in a meeting with me or anything so far.
Okay, but has he gone to drug screen when you've asked him to?
No, I hadn't asked him yet.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, will that be part of his service plan that that we are asking them to make an order of the court?
Yes, ma'am.
And has he previously drug screened for the department?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Let's see. Now, in regards to the service plan, is it reasonably tailored to address the issues regarding this case in order for Mr. Dockery?
Yes.
Okay. And is it your understanding that prior to this case, there had been minimal contact between him and the child?
Yes.
And so are the services geared towards making sure that he is able to parent and do all the things that are necessary to have Miley potentially in his home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we are asking for a parenting class and our normal psychosocial assessment with individual therapy. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, are we also asking for just the regular drug screens and if he's positive for an OSAR evaluation?
Yes.
Now, in regards to Miss Castro, did you create a service plan for her?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you able to talk to her about her service plan?
Yes.
And did you go over that service plan with her?
I did.
Did she sign it?
No.
Did she seem to understand what was being requested of her?
Yes.
Now, regarding those services, are those narrowly tailored to fit the issues of this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And specifically, drug use was a major concern for the department. Is that right?
Yes.
Has the mother drug screened for the department?
No.
And did you request that on 2 occasions in October?
Yes.
And are we asking that the judge order any hair follicle and UA for mom today?
Yes, ma'am. Both.
Are we requesting anything from the father?
I would like a UA.
Now, regarding the mother, are we also asking, she's had issues with stability? Are we also asking for indications of stability, maintaining employment, maintaining housing, things like that?
Yes.
And are we asking that both service plans be made in order of the court today?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, is there anything else that needs to be addressed concerning Miley?
We want to do a home study on paternal grandmother. So we wanted to get an order for an expedited home study.
Okay. And has she visited with the child?
Yes, she has.
And how did that visit go?
It went well, as far as I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And so we're asking for, like, you said, an expedited home study. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Miley get into therapy with Leanne Lefevre?
She did.
Okay, great. All right. Anything else that the judge needs to be aware of today?
Nope, not. I don't think so.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you. Ms. Grant, you said that that Mr. Dockery hadn't drug screened, so he's not done he's not done a hair strand
No,
or a UA.
neither.
Okay, so you'd want both from both parents.
We could do
today.
both. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And Judge, it was my understanding he had drug screened. I don't know if that didn't. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if that didn't miscommunication from investigations too. But we will double check that. And if not, then we will ask. But I'm fairly certain he did.
All right, Mr. Dockery, if you want to say something, why don't you unmute, please?
Your Honor, I did go take the drug screen at that Care Express on Ross.
When was
and
that?
It was when you ordered it that day.
At our last hearing?
Yes, sir.
Let me see.
October 17th, 23, hair strand and UA, they're both filed and they're both positive.
Okay. So we don't really need another hair strand. I'll do one. Ms. Grant, if you want to, I'll order it on both of them if you want me to.
I think we could just do the UA on Mr. Dockery and the
Okay.
hair and UA on Mom.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Also, would it be a continuing danger to the physical health and safety of Miley to be returned to either parent today?
Yes.
Would it be contrary to her welfare to be returned to either parent today?
Yes.
All right. And you said Linda Sturgeon, how's she related to Miley?
Paternal grandmother.
Okay. She's in our waiting room. Did we need her in, or was she a potential witness, or what?
I didn't plan on calling her as a witness, Judge. I know your general rule about her being on YouTube, or it being on YouTube, that we don't let people in that haven't testified or aren't going to testify. So that's why I didn't say anything.
Okay. All right then. Okay, then Mr. Hill, any questions?
Thank you, sir. Ms. Grant, you said that Ms. Castro did not sign the service plan. Did she decline to sign it, or did you not offer it to her to be signed?
I did offer it. She said she didn't want to sign it, that all of the services she's done before, and she didn't want to do them again.
Okay, and that's my understanding of speaking with her as well, is that she believes that these services are unnecessary. Did you speak to her potentially about when or where she completed these services previously?
Yes.
And what did she say to you?
She gave me some names. I would have to go back and find it, but she talked about some of the places that she's done some of these services before.
Okay, and if in fact she has done some of these services before and she can provide you proper documentation, certificates, etc., would that alleviate the need for her to take these services again, or would you still be requesting that she do these services even though some of them may have been completed previously?
Yeah, I would still request that she does them again.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. I'll pass the witness.
All right. All right, Mr. Dockery, do you have any questions to ask Ms. Grant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
On the service plan, I tried to reach out and contact you, Dad, and
Yes, that was during the week I was on vacation. And yeah, and then the day I called you back, you were in the hospital.
also, as far as the home study with Linda Sturgeon goes, have you talked to Miley about whether she or not she wants to go stay there?
Yes.
And did she want to come stay there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I have no questions.
Okay. Mr. Dockery, have I you've been at some previous hearings. I think I've admonished you before of your right to an attorney, didn't I? You're
Yes,
muted.
Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
Yes, Your
Just remember, you have that right between now and the time this case is over. Anytime you want to ask.
I would like to ask for one for the next hearing.
Okay. Then what you'll need to do, you can either call my office and we'll get you. Do you have an email address?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You can call my office and give that to Haley Morrow, my court coordinator, and then she can send it to you, or you can come by my office and pick it up, or you can probably get it from either St. Francis or from CPS, but it has to be filled out completely before I can consider whether or not you're entitled to a court-appointed lawyer.
Sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, then, Mr. Ingram, any questions?
No questions.
All right. Ms. Wiggins, anything else from Ms. Grant?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else from the department?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
Thank you. Mr. Hill, did you have any witnesses?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Ingram, any witnesses?
I have no witnesses, Your Honor. I would tender Miley to the court if you have any questions for her.
I've just got one, and I'll ask Miley. I was going to ask Ms. Grant, but Miley, if you'd unmute, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Miley, are you on any kind of medications right now?
Yes.
Do you think they're helping you?
Yes.
Okay. You know, you're old enough to have say-so in what kind of medications you take. So, and are you seeing a psychiatrist or just an MD for those meds?
I'm seeing a psychiatrist, yes.
Okay. And have you expressed that to your psychiatrist that you think they're helping or they're not helping? You communicate with your psychiatrist?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good. All right. So you've heard that they're asking me to do the home study on your paternal grandmother, Ms. Sturgeon. Is that what you want me to do?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. I'll order that today. I'll just warn you, sometimes expedited, it may not be as expedited as you would like it to be, but if I order them expedited, they're a little bit faster than the normal pace, which is snail pace. So, okay. Miley, anything else you want to tell me today?
Well, I would like to say that I do not want to go back with my mom ever again. I know for a fact that I want to stay at Randall. I really do like Randall. And that I really do want to go stay with my grandparents because I love them and they give me that hope that I am loved and that I am cared for and I have everything I need. And that I just want to be with my family.
Okay. All right. Are you going to be able to stay in Randall if you're placed with your grandparents?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right then. Okay. Mr. Ingram, any recommendations?
Continue department as temporary managing conservator. Continue Miley's placement as is until we can get the home study back.
Do we have any? Has anybody even done a background check on Linda Sturgeon?
Yes, I have. There's no criminal history, no CPS history.
I'm just wondering, does anybody have a reason? I can bring Miss Sturgeon in if we want to. Does anybody have a reason to believe that we need to do a home study before we can place?
No, sir. I'm sorry. I did visit the home last Friday on the 1st. And it looks good. Everything that I saw that needed to be fixed, they got it taken care of. So.
Okay.
Great. I'd ask that you just go ahead and place her now then.
Yeah, let's just get her in, and so we'll have it on the record that she's ready. But I don't see any reason to wait unless somebody's got some concerns.
We don't judge. We can't ask, but we don't have any objection.
And from the looks on the smile on Miley's face, I certainly believe that is in her best interest.
I think that would be great.
Ms. Sturgeon, this is Judge Graham. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. You aren't with us, but there's been talk about doing a home study on you to see if Miley could be placed with you. And I was asking, is there really any need to wait? Are you ready to have Miley placed with you?
Okay, I don't see any reason why Miley wasn't put here in the first place, except for her mother's objection, which I expected. But we're ready for Miley to come. We've been ready for Miley to come.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't see any reason to wait then. Ms. Grant, if you want to go ahead and do the home study just to for your file, that's fine. But I'll go ahead and place Miley with Ms. Sturgeon today. So.
Thank you, Judge. Yeah, if she will do the home study and complete that, then she can potentially be approved for financial assistance.
Okay, right.
That would be, yeah.
Okay. All right then. Okay, then if there's nothing else from anybody, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator. I will order that Miley be placed with Miss Sturgeon and her, I guess it's the grandparents, so placed with the grandparents as soon as possible. I'll order Miss Castro to both hair strand and UA by 4 p.m. today at Care Express. I'll order Mr. Dockery to UA drug screen by 4 p.m. today at Care Express. I will order the expedited home study on Linda Sturgeon. However, as I said, I'm going to go ahead and place Miley there now. So, all right, then I will also make a finding that Miley is not an ICWA child as that is defined in the Indian Child Welfare Act. I'll set our next permanency hearing for April 8th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearings, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance of April 8th to see exactly what time that hearing will take place. All right, that will conclude this hearing. I had Isaiah Castro, Miley, is that your brother? Yeah, he was in the waiting room. I just now looked over my past notes and saw his name come up. Y'all can let me, go ahead.
My brother is like one of the people that knows like everything that's been going on, everything that's happened, and everything like that. So he's a really good witness to go ahead and let me be with my grandparents now.
We've already taken care of that. So y'all can, Miley, you can let him know what happened today. Let him know you're going to get placed there, and it should be pretty quick.
Okay, sounds good.
We're here on a
Thank you, Judge.
after final
You're
order.
welcome.
We'll
Ms.
stay in
Williams is with us
recess
from
on
the
this
department.
case. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the child. Ms. Mullinax is with us representing the mother, Miss Styles, who is also with us. You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. I'd call Michelle Slagle. Thank you, Judge. Miss Slagle, how is the child doing in its placement?
She's doing good.
Okay, and is that the placement she's been in for the entire case?
Yes, it is.
And regarding the father, his rights have been terminated. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the child is currently in the permanent managing conservator of the department with mom as a possessory conservator. Is that right?
That is correct.
Now, Miss Styles was asked to work some services. Is that correct?
Yes.
And regarding the services, she did complete a evaluation last month with ocurrs. Is that correct?
It was October 10th.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting it's December. And in that evaluation, did they have any recommendations?
Yes, we're in MA or mental health assessment with TPC.
Okay, but they did not have any follow-up with the drug screen or drug evaluation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Is the department, though, asking that Ms. Styles continue with some sort of outpatient treatment like NAAA just to make sure that everything stays exactly how it's been?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And her drug screens have been negative. Is that right?
That is correct.
Now, regarding Ms. Styles, I believe it was ordered last time that she provide a lease. Has she provided a lease to the department?
No, we have not received a lease yet.
Okay. And are we asking for a copy of her driver's license?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And is that just so if we are progressing in visitation, she will eventually get unsupervised and therefore would transport the child? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, let's see. And right now, what is her visitation?
Her visitation is the first, third, and fifth Saturday of the month for 4 hours supervised, and the second and fourth Friday of every month for 2 hours supervised.
Okay. And so basically once a week, just different times and days. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And how is that visitation going?
It's going good.
Okay. Are we requesting any drug screens today?
Yes.
What drug screens are we requesting?
A hair follicle.
When was the last hair follicle that she completed for the department?
I believe the last one was in September.
Is there anything else that we are requesting today?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Slagle, you only need a hair, do you need a UA?
No, sir, just a hair follicle.
Okay. All right, then, Ms. Mullinax, questions?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Ms. Slagle, Dominique was also attending therapy with Steve Jennings, is that right?
That is correct. She did complete that.
And was there a recommendation from Mr. Jennings for more visitation?
Yes, there was.
And that was in October of 23, is that right?
That is correct.
And does St. Francis have a position on that recommendation?
That would have to be something I would have to staff. I do know we would want to make sure that we had appropriate transportation. We had stable housing where she was going to be. That way we would know exactly where she was going to be at, and driver's license to show that Ms. Styles can transport August.
And you say that it needs to be staffed, but that recommendation was done on October 23rd. So why hasn't it been staffed yet?
I'm sorry, let me backtrack. We have staffed, but that would be as long as we were able to be provided those things like the driver's license, what vehicle she would be transported in, and where she would be for the entirety of the visit.
And with regard to other services, is there anything else that she hasn't done?
We would just ask that she would do the mental health assessment that was recommended on her Cinecore evaluation.
Did she previously have a mental health assessment done?
I believe she did. It was earlier in the case. I don't have that date right off of hand.
And are you aware if Cinecore knew about that evaluation?
It was not on the paperwork that was provided. I don't believe I've seen that on there.
So you're not aware if they knew or not?
No, I am not.
I'd pass the witness.
All right. Ms. Slagle, has she done a TPC assessment in this case, during the pendency of this case?
Yes, she was working with Antonio Graves through TPC, and she did an OZAR with Linda Dudley through TPC.
Okay. All right then, Mr. Ingram.
I understand the concerns about moving to unsupervised visitation until these other things are cleared up. Is it possible to increase the supervised visitation at this point?
Yes, I believe that would be possible.
All right, thank you. Pass witness.
Anyone else have any further questions?
Just to clarify one point, Ms. Slagle, I don't know if you understood Ms. Mullenex's question, but any additional services you said ordered for the TPC evaluation, but she's currently still doing the domestic violence support group. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. She is currently still doing that.
Okay. Nothing further, Judge.
And I do have another question, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ms. Slagle, do you recall back at the beginning of this case when there was a Michael and Tony Styles that were going to be considered for placement?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And do you remember if there were background checks done on them?
I do not believe so, because they dropped out stating they did not want to no longer be considered for placement. I would have to go back and look to see if their backgrounds were checked. I don't think I personally did.
Okay. And if they were interested in being placement at this point, do they need to get with you, or what do we need to do with that?
Yes, they would need to contact me.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
We
then,
rest.
Okay. Ms. Mullenex, any witnesses?
Call Dominique Styles, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Styles, if you'd unmute, please. Ms. Mullenex.
Dominique, were you present whenever Ms. Slagle testified a moment ago?
Yes.
And you heard her say that she needed a copy of your lease. Can you tell the court the plan and what's going on with that lease?
It's been a problem trying to get the lease. He's not returning phone calls. I've left messages. I've called him. I don't know what else to do. I told him that I needed the lease several times, and he's just kind of ignored it. But I've talked to my aunt and uncle, and they said that, since the lease is an issue, that until everything gets cleared up or I get the house that I'm trying to buy, that I can stay with them.
And you're talking about Michael and Tony Styles, is that right?
Yes.
And is Ms. Slagle free to contact them if she wants to do that?
Yes.
And can you give her their contact information if she doesn't already have it?
Yes.
And with regard to a driver's license, do you have a driver's license that's valid?
I do not.
You do not? Is that what you said?
No, I don't. I have reinstatement fees that I have to pay. I haven't paid yet.
All right. And so you understand that Ms. Slagle is saying that you need to have a valid driver's license before they would request that you have unsupervised visitation?
Yes. I'm curious though, why?
Well, I think it's because you.
I mean, like, I get the transportation part, but I mean, well, yeah, but I have a ride. Like I have rides and things like that. If it was to come down to that, anytime it's involving the kid, I have a ride.
And with regard to the reinstatement fees, are you able to pay those now, or can you get them paid soon?
I can get them paid soon. I just can't pay them right now.
And are you able to get to the testing facility today to do a hair follicle test?
Yes.
I'd pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Wiggins?
I have no questions.
All right, Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
All right. All right, then, Ms. Smonex, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, but I did have one more question for Ms. Styles. I forgot.
Okay.
Dominique, what are you asking the court to do with regard to your child today?
I would like her to be returned. I'm trying to get my baby home. I've done all of my services. I've done even the services. I've done my TBC, as mental health assessment. I've done everything that they've asked me to do, and I'm trying to get her back home.
I have no further questions.
Okay, anyone else?
You have not completed your DV support group, is that correct? Then that's fine, Judge. We'll just.
I'm sorry? Hello?
Did you complete your
DV? Yeah, one more time. It broke up.
Okay, I think you're back, Ms. Styles. Did you complete your DV support group?
Okay. It's not a completion, it's a support group. It's kind of there for life, like whenever you need support.
Okay, so you don't understand that you need to go weekly to maintain that support, at least weekly?
Yes, yes, I do. I do understand that I go to my support. They need to go to my support groups. King's father lets me have King sometimes, so that's why it's not steady. Like there's been times that I don't go because it is Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever it is. Like, Eric lets me have King, but yes, I do understand that I am supposed to be going, and I do go when I don't have my son.
Nothing further, Judge.
Anyone else? All right, then. Mr. Ingram, did you have any witnesses?
No witnesses.
All right, then, Mr. Ingram, recommendations?
Continue the department as permanent managing conservator. Continue Ms. Styles as possessory. Placement could continue as is. Visitation to remain supervised until the issues that have been testified about are cleared up. I do not have any objection to increased supervised visitation.
All right. Okay, then. All right, then. I will continue the department as permanent managing conservator, continue Ms. Styles as permanent possessory conservator. I'll continue the child's current placement. I'll order Ms. Styles to hair strand drug screen by 4 p.m. today at Care Express. I'll order that she provide St. Francis with a copy of a driver's license and a lease if she obtains them. I will order that she immediately have increased visitation. I'll order, I heard some testimony that she might be moving in with these people. That might alter it to where the department or St. Francis or the department decides she can have unsupervised, or Ms. Mullinax can file a motion for it. All I'll say in that regard is that I will order that Ms. Styles not transport the children until she provides St. Francis or the department with a valid driver's license and proof of insurance. That would not necessarily affect her having unsupervised visits. It just have to be somewhere. She'd have to meet the children somewhere so that we don't have to worry about her transporting them without the driver's license. So, but at any rate, I am ordering that she have increased visitation now. So. All right, I'll set the next review hearing for May 13th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance of May 13th to see what time we'll actually have that hearing. Ms. Wiggins is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the child. Mr. Michelson is with us representing the mother. Ms. Plaster, who is with us? I don't see Mr. Plaster.
Your Honor, I spoke with Mr. Plaster. He's currently in Colorado. He's a truck driver, and he's at a place where it's difficult to reach by internet.
Okay. All right. Okay. I have Amy Prater and Norma Moreno in the waiting room.
Can you let them both in? Call Amy Prater.
Okay. Wiggins.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Prater, can you give the court an update on what has happened recently with Ryan?
Ryan was admitted into a behavioral hospital, the Dallas Behavioral Hospital. and he was put on a 30-day discharge notice.
Okay. Can you tell the court what led up to him being placed in the behavioral health hospital?
Yes, so he was in a specialized behavioral program at school. He had been caught with tobacco products at school. The school gave the disciplinary action of DEAP, and Ryan refused to go. But he did end up going. But once he arrived at the DEAP program, he did threaten violence toward teachers and other staff.
Here today on a status hearing. Ms. Wiggins is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the child. Mr. Adams is with us representing the father. Mr. Baker, who is with us. Ms. Archer's with us representing the mother. Ms. Baker, who is with us. That accounts for everyone. I have no one in the waiting room. So, Ms. Wiggins, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. I'd call Erin Tyndall. Okay. And how is Willow doing in her placement?
Willow is doing very well in her placement.
And she just recently went to the doctor for an evaluation for formula and some other issues. Is that correct?
Yes, she did on Friday.
And once we get that report, is that going to be distributed to all parties?
Yes, I believe I distributed it on.
Did you? Okay.
Yes.
You very possibly could have.
And I sent it on Friday, I think.
Okay, perfect. And we have discussed, and it is in the adversary hearing order, that the parents are entitled to medical records, and they are entitled to discussing the health of the child with practitioners. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we have not, St. Francis has not instructed anybody to not talk to the parents. Is that correct?
No, we have not.
Now, regarding Willow, is she on any medications at this point?
I believe she is still on the vitamin D supplement, but that is it. They have taken her off the famotidine.
Okay. And that was for the reflux. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, regarding so the judge ordered a home study on the Moffats. Is that correct?
Yes.
And has that been initiated?
That has been initiated.
Now, there was an issue with the characterization of who the Moffats are. Is that a fair statement?
I believe that's fair.
Okay. And so generally when we do a home study, we characterize friends of the family as fictive kin. Is that right?
Yes.
And so technically with the definition of fictive kin, the Moffats do not fall under that definition of fictive kin. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so what that might impact on the home study as far as St. Francis is concerned is that it can't be approved because of the fictive kin. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, it obviously doesn't prohibit the judge from ordering placement there. That's just something per policy that can't be done.
That is correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear on that. So it has nothing against the Moffats. It's just a characterization of their relationship with the Bakers. Is that fair?
Yes, that is fair.
Okay. Okay. And also could potentially impact whether or not they receive assistance from the department financially.
Yes, that is correct. And I have allowed the Moffats to know this, and they are still more than willing to be placement.
Perfect. Okay. Just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page regarding that. Now regarding, and then obviously once we get that home study done, it will be filed and distributed to all parties. And then whether or not they have a hearing about that placement will then be something that we go forward on.
Yes, that is correct.
Now, regarding the service plans, the reason why we're here in court today, has the department completed service plans for both parents in this case?
Yes, we have.
And are they reasonably tailored to address the issues of removal?
Yes.
And removal was due to some medical issues with the child. Is that a fair statement?
That is fair.
And in this case, as far as we're concerned, drugs are not an issue at this time.
No.
Okay. So any kind of OSAR or drug testing is not on the service plan for these parents?
It is on the service plan, but it is worded where if we have a suspicion or have issues with it, we are allowed to ask for an OSAR, but it is not being required at this time.
Okay. And most of the requirements are basically parenting classes, individual counseling, and psychological evaluations, just to assess where the parents are and what services, mental health wise, that we may need a recommendation on. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And have you been able to go over the service plans with the parents?
I have.
Did they sign the service plans?
They did not sign the service plan.
Okay. Did they appear to understand what was being asked of them?
Yes, they did.
Did they give a reason for not signing the service plan?
There was a comment that had been put in the service plan that I made note of that Miss Baker was not in agreement with. And so they did not sign it because of that.
Okay. Okay. And so from your understanding, it wasn't the services that they had an issue with, but just some of the comments in the actual description in the service plan. Okay. And so did they agree to work the services that were listed?
Yes, they did.
Okay, great. Now, let's see. In regards to meeting with the mother and the father, are we asking that the monthly meetings or any meetings that we need with the parents be done at the office?
Yes, we are.
And that just the parents are present for those update meetings?
Yes.
And, okay. Is there anything else that we're requesting today?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay. Are we just asking that the court make the service plans in order of the court?
Yes. Yes. That's all we're asking.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness, Judge. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me address one more issue. Now, there was an issue that did come up medically with the child. Is that correct?
Yes.
The mother and the father told St. Francis that they did not want immunizations unless they vetted them and understood them and agreed to them. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, when the child was taken to the doctor, was she given an immunization that the parents did not agree to?
She was given an immunization that they did not agree to.
Okay. And was that the pneumococcal?
Yes, it was the pneumococcal pneumonia immunization. That was the only one she was given at that time.
Okay. Now, has it been made, and that was after St. Francis did call and did instruct the facility not to give immunizations, that they still went ahead and gave that immunization?
Yes, that was after I had already called and made it very clear that that was not supposed to happen.
Okay. And is there a setup for an appointment coming up for the child?
We have a nutritional evaluation on Wednesday that I will be going to. That is the only appointment we have set up at this moment due to placement maybe changing. Her next appointment wouldn't be until 4 months, which would be sometime in the middle towards end of December. And they have held off on making that appointment just because we don't know for sure where she will be at.
Okay. And obviously, if she does get placed with the Moffats, that will be told to them about the immunizations. And at any checkup, a member of St. Francis staff will be present to make sure that that does not happen again. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And when that immediately became aware to St. Francis, did you immediately notify the family of that?
Yes. As soon as I was aware of it, I notified the family. I notified everybody involved.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Archer?
So if St. Francis was aware that the vaccine wasn't to be given, are you saying it was the doctor's fault or the foster's mom's fault?
This was a miscommunication at the doctor's office. I spoke with his PRN, I believe, the Georgia Miller, and let her know very clearly and explicitly that there was supposed to be no vaccines given. Whoever foster mother talked to at the front desk that next morning did not have that note. And so that's where the miscommunication took place. As I made it very clear to the nurse, whoever checked them in that morning, she was apparently not there, did not make it clear that did not know they had that note. I did not want that to be solely foster mother's responsibility. And I had already told her I will call the doctor's office and let them know what choice is made on the vaccines. Foster mother asked the woman at the front desk, have you talked to St. Francis? Have you talked to her caseworker? And she said no.
And my client was wanting to be present at that doctor's appointment, but she wasn't allowed. Do you feel like the whole thing could have been avoided if she'd been there?
Possibly, but after
Speculation.
Sorry, who was that?
She asked if mother was there, could this have been avoided? And I objected to speculation.
Is mother invited to the doctor visits?
At this time, no.
Do you let mother know when a doctor visit is coming up so that she'll be able to follow up with the doctor?
Yes, as soon as I know when one is scheduled, I try to let Naya know.
So the last appointment was November 30th, is that correct?
Yes, and that one was a very sudden, impromptu appointment that had not been scheduled, or she would have known about it.
And was there a caseworker or CPS representative present at that appointment?
There was not, but that was simply due to it being made that day, and very, very quickly, I was not able to get down there.
And did the foster mother take Willow off the famotidine?
The doctor told her that they could take her off the famotidine. That was by doctor's orders.
Was that because the foster mother wasn't giving it anyway?
No, I think she had missed a dose on a weekend, but it wasn't that she had stopped giving it completely. I think they had missed a single dose of it and that Willow had done okay.
Do you know how the spitting up has progressed since going off of it?
From what foster mother has reported to me, she is spitting up a normal amount. She is a, quote, happy spitter, that it's not an uncomfortable situation for her, but that it is normal.
As far as the service plan, are you willing to take that comment that my client feels was misrepresented? Could you take that off the service plan?
At the next review for the service plan, I can definitely remove that.
So just to clarify, what has to change for my client to be able to attend those doctor visits?
One, we would like to get her in a long-term placement since we are looking at moving. Get her there, get her secured, get her going with a new doctor, obviously in the Amarillo area, should she be moved here. It's a lot of pressure to put on a foster mother. We do not want to have any kind of argumentative environment or anything like that where everybody's arguing in this poor doctor's office. So I would like to see us get further along, get Willow and everybody happy with her care and get her, established somewhere before we kind of put all of these people together in a small waiting room or doctor's room.
And how long do you expect the home study to take?
It can take up to a few weeks, but I can't give a exact time on that since we do not do those.
Is there any way to expedite that?
I believe it's already in the works. I can reach out to see if we can expedite it.
Do you feel like there's,
go ahead.
because of the vaccination incident, do you feel like there's some trust issues between yourself and Naya?
I don't know that it was specifically due to the vaccine, but it did not help the trust issues between myself and Naya. No.
Do you think that maybe we should be assigned another caseworker going forward to mend that?
That's not my call to make.
Is that Ms. Sessions' call to make? Or?
I would believe so, or our director. I do not know who would make that call, but it's not my call to make.
Do you know if the genetic tests have come back on Willow?
They have not. Not that I have been made aware of.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Adams.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Tyndall, you characterized the placement as being very good with no problems. Is that correct?
That is correct.
In the reports recently that have come back from visitation, and I mean, do you talk to the people that supervise the visits?
I do talk to the monitor for the visits down in Lubbock. Yes.
And you also talk to the foster mom on a regular basis?
Yes.
Isn't it true that they've characterized Willow's spitting up as excessive?
The monitor has not specifically said it's excessive. She said that they have issues with it. And I've been sent pictures. I have also shared those pictures with foster mom. Foster mother, however, does not report that anything is excessive with Willow and her spit up.
Okay. And to clarify, there's two issues in this case as far as the claims of CPS. One is failure to thrive. Is that correct?
That was initially in the investigation. I think our main issue is the broken femur.
Okay. Have you dropped the issue of the failure to thrive?
We are addressing it. We are making sure she is gaining weight, that she is being given the care. So it's not an issue that we dropped. We want to obviously address it and make sure that Willow is taken care of. But my main issue to address with parents is the broken femur.
Okay. I just wanted to, double check that because it looks from the medical records that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the month prior to Willow being taken away, she had gained approximately 2 pounds. In the month that she's been in custody, or not custody, but in your care, she's gained approximately 2 pounds. Is that correct?
Judge, I'm going to object at the facts not in evidence and specifically not on point for the status hearing.
I'm sorry, Judge. Is that sustained?
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to clarify what you were talking about with Ms. Wiggins on the Moffats. And this is just for my edification. You're saying that the Moffats are not fictive kin?
By our policy, they are not considered fictive kin,
And why is that?
just because of the length of time they have known the family, which has not been very long. They are not extremely close with the family. This is from what I understand, a woman from their church that was approached about being placement for Willow and has had a conversation with Mr. and Mrs. Baker and has agreed upon being placement.
Okay, but it's not a problem for a non-fictive kin person to be placement for Willow. Is that correct?
That is correct. We do have a way, like if the judge orders placement, even if that should be denied, we can still work forward with it.
And the judge has the ability to make that order?
I believe so.
And you testified that you don't believe that the genetics test has come back yet?
I have not received those testings back yet.
I believe the records show that Willow's been cleared by the orthopedic to come back to Amarillo. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I wanted to make that clear just because the ad litem had specifically stated that they didn't want Willow to be moved until she was cleared. So I wanted to clarify if she has actually been cleared. Is that correct?
Yes, she has been cleared.
Okay. Thank you. The dietitian appointment has been set. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that is to address Willow's issues with feeding and thriving and weight gain. Is that correct?
I believe so. We were sent a nutritionist report from a little over a month ago. When the doctor looked at it, he wanted to order a new updated one. And so that is what is scheduled for Wednesday.
Okay. I wanted to talk to you about just one thing in the service plan. Does the service plan have a request for Miss Baker to go to domestic violence classes?
It had a request in there for her to attend WAVE classes. She has already met with them and they have discharged her on that, just stating she did not need it since it was a one-time thing.
So does that mean that that's not a requirement anymore?
That one we will mark as complete, that it is not a requirement.
Okay. I just wanted to double check that. You agree though that the vaccine issue was a very big issue. Is that correct?
I agree, very much so.
Okay. Did the foster mom know that the Bakers did not want Willow to have a vaccine?
She knew there was questions on it. I believe she got confused because I knew and had told her that the pneumococcal pneumonia was one for sure they did not want. And I believe she just got confused in thinking that it was the only one that was okay. I have since addressed this with her as well as the doctor's office that absolutely 0 vaccines will be given.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Ringer?
No questions.
All right, anyone have follow-ups for Ms. Tyndall?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Ms. Tyndall, are you aware that my clients aren't anti-vaxxers?
Yes, they just wanted to have the information to do research on this.
Yes, they just wanted to delay this one vaccine. Is that correct?
They wanted to delay any vaccines until they had a chance to look into them.
And can you clarify why the impromptu doctor appointment was set up for Willow?
So that we could address the possibility of putting her back on the Nutramigen to see what the doctor felt about that. We wanted that addressed very, very specifically. If he was okay with switching her back to Nutramigen, then we were okay with that. But we wanted to address this formula issue very specifically with the doctor. And so that is why we asked for the very sudden appointment.
And are the domestic violence class for Nia, did you say that is still required?
No, it is not. She has been discharged from that.
Thank you. No further questions.
Anyone else?
No, Your Honor.
No, yeah.
Ms. Tyndall, was there or is there still an ongoing criminal investigation into the child's femur break?
Believe there is still an ongoing investigation, but I am not aware of where it is at this time.
And have you heard anything else from the medical professionals about abuse out of Lubbock since
I
what
have
I
not.
heard? You haven't heard anything since I heard what I heard at the adversary hearing?
That's all I know, Your Honor.
Would you say that it's a continuing danger to the child's physical health or safety to be returned to either parent today?
Yes, I would today.
Would you say it would be contrary to the child's welfare to be returned to either parent today?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, then, Ms. Wiggins, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
Thank you. Ms. Archer, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor. My client's very concerned about not getting to go to the doctor visits, and she would very much like a new caseworker just because of the vaccination incident that caused so much discord between her and Ms. Tyndall.
Okay, I don't do that. I don't let parents pick their caseworkers, so I'll just tell you that right up front. So, all right, then, Mr. Adams, do you have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor, no witnesses.
All right, thanks. You, Mr. Ingram, recommendations?
Continue department as temporary managing conservator, continue placement as is. I've also been informed that Willow has been released from the orthopedic doctor in Lubbock, so I would draw any objection to her moving. Hopefully, I think it will help if we can get her placed with the Moffats. It will help with the parents' communication, and so that's what I would like to see happen, is assuming there's not any issues with the Moffats.
All right. Well, and as this court knows, I mean, what may be policy for St. Francis is not court's policy. So if the home study's approved, then if I need to intervene, someone just ask for a hearing, then I'll be happy to do so. Okay, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue Willow's current placement. I will order that this home study on John and Amy Moffat be expedited if it hasn't already been. I don't know if that does any good or not, but I get asked to do it routinely, so I usually do. So. Okay, then we'll have our next hearing, the initial permanency hearing, on April 15th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so all parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or so in advance of April 15th to see what time we'll have that hearing. All right, then, Mr. and Ms. Baker, I need to admonish you today that the services contained in your service plan, just to be clear, minus the WAVE program for Ms. Baker, which is not, we've removed that from the service plan. Those services become a court order today. At a final hearing, if you have not worked those services, your parental rights could be altered or terminated. Do you both understand that? You're muted. I need to hear it from you verbally.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Wiggins is with us for the department. That will conclude. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the child. Mr. Jackson is with us representing the mother, Ms. Habel. And Mr. Michelson's with us representing the father, Mr. Armstrong. I don't see either parent here. Mr. Jackson, Mr. Michelson, were you expecting your clients?
Your Honor, at the last hearing, we had announced, it was my understanding that my client was going to Senecor the day after that hearing.
Okay. So you think she's in Senecor now? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about you, Mr. Michelson?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the statement.
The question is, are you expecting your client? He's not in the waiting room.
Yes, Your Honor. I gave him the link and I expected him to be here.
Okay. All right. Well, this case was set for 11:30. It's now 11:35, so we will proceed in both parents' absence. Ms. Wiggins, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. I call Haley Grissom. And how is Emberly doing in her placement?
She's doing very well. She's very familiar with the placement. She's happy. No problems at all with her placement.
Okay. And is that with the maternal grandparents?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let's see. Has she had all of her medical checks that she needs at this time?
Yes, she has.
Great. Are there any issues or any services that are being provided to her specifically?
No.
Now, regarding the parents, have you created service plans for the parents?
Yes, service plans have been created.
Okay. And you just recently took over this case from another worker, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And so you kind of adopted the service plans that she had created for the family?
Yes, the previous supervisor actually created them.
Okay, great. And so the issues at removal were drug use and domestic violence, is that correct?
Yes.
And are the service plans for both parents reasonably tailored to address those specific issues?
Yes, they are.
And specifically, the mother is requested to complete an OSAR evaluation and I guess commit to a drug-free lifestyle, as well as the parenting classes and specifically the domestic violence support group.
Yes, along with individual counseling and a TPC evaluation.
Okay. And let's see. And Mr. Armstrong specifically is asked to, I guess, obviously he has other services, but the main service that we really are pushing Mr. Armstrong is the BIP class, the Batter's Intervention and Prevention Program. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, ma'am.
And then also some individual counseling to address possible issues related to that.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't have it here, but I guess in the future, if the parents are remaining together, that possibly after their individual counseling, we may look at some couples counseling. Is that a fair statement?
It is. I think right now they are not able to have contact, but in the future, if that's lifted, that would be very appropriate.
Okay. And you're just talking about a bond condition right now for Mr. Armstrong not to have contact with Ms. Hable?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, let's see. Are we asking for any drug tests today?
UA on both parents would be appropriate. They've recently done hair strands, so we wouldn't need that quite yet.
Okay, great. And are you in communication with both parents?
I have not been able to make contact with mom at all. I've tried a lot of different avenues and haven't been able to get any contact info from her, and she's not reached out to me. The same issue is happening with our parent support worker and our family support worker. Nobody can make contact with mom, but I have been in contact with dad.
Okay. Have you been, just recently, Mr. Jackson indicated that she might be in Synacor. Have we tried to reach out to Synacor?
She did have a bed right after the adversary hearing, but she did not go. She didn't report to Synacor.
Okay. And so clearly we don't need to call Synacor now. Let's see. Did Mr. Armstrong go over his service plan?
Yes, I had the opportunity to sit down with him last week and go over that with him.
Okay. Did he sign his plan?
Yes, he did.
And did he verbally state to you that he would be working his services?
Yes.
And did he seem to understand what was being requested of him?
Yes, he did.
And since you haven't had any contact with mom, you've been unable to go over that plan with her. Is that a fair statement?
That's correct.
All right. Is there anything else that needs to be addressed at this time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Is the father attending visitation?
Yes, he is. He is getting an hour a week. There was some issues with the weather last week where they didn't have a visit last week, but he is attending.
Okay, great. And if you haven't been able to communicate with Ms. Hable, has the parent support worker who sets up those visits?
No contact at all.
All right, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you. Ms. Grissom, would it be a continuing danger to the physical health and safety of the child to be returned to either parent today?
Yes.
Would it be contrary to the child's welfare to be returned to either parent today?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. Ma'am, did you reach out to Synacor? Have you called Synacor?
Sorry if I was talking over you. No, I have not personally, but another worker that was involved in the case from the beginning has reached out to Synacor and relayed that information to me.
Okay, that's how you got that information.
Yes, sir.
Okay, pass the witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Michelson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did the father make any objections to the requirements of the family service plan?
No.
So he was in total agreement with the plan?
Yes.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Ingram.
Haley, have you talked to the placement, the maternal grandmother, about if she knows where mom is?
Yes, I have reached out to her for any contact info, and she said she didn't know any way to get a hold of her either.
Okay, that's interesting because she reports to us that she's having daily phone contact with her. Is that your understanding as well?
No, she did not tell me that. So if she is having contact, it would be I need to talk to Alexis as soon as possible. So if she could ask her to get a hold of me, that would be amazing.
Yeah, because what she reported to us is that it was her understanding that mom was allowed to have unlimited phone contact with Emberly as long as it was supervised, and that she was talking to her a couple times every day.
Okay, I had no knowledge of that, so I'll be asking some questions about that.
Thank you, pass witness.
Anyone else have further questions for Ms. Grissom?
What is the current visitation supposed to be between mom and Emberly?
It is supposed to be an hour a week supervised at the St. Francis office.
Okay, so just to clarify, there should be no phone conversations between mother and the child at this time.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Okay. Anyone else? Ms. Wiggins, any
No,
further?
sir.
No, Your Honor, we rest.
All right, Mr. Jackson, any witnesses?
No, sir.
Mr. Michelson?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Ingram, recommendations?
Continue department as temporary managing conservator, continue placement as is. Obviously, we need to get this visitation straightened out. And grandmother does live in Dumas. I know it's not that far, but transporting a 4-year-old back and forth from Dumas to Amarillo for visitation is not ideal.
No, I wouldn't want that out there. Okay, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue Emberly's current placement. I'll order the services for each parent as contained in their service plan, and I'll order both parents to UA drug screen by 4 p.m. today at Care Express in Amarillo. We will have the next hearing, the initial permanency hearing, on April 8th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket to see what time we'll have that hearing. Mr. Jackson, Mr. Michelson, if you talk to your clients, admonish them on the fact that the service plan now becomes a court order, and failure to work the court order could alter or terminate their parental rights.
Yes, Your Honor.
On a final
Yes,
hearing.
sir.
Thank you all. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Casa is with us. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the child. Mr. Jackson is with us representing the father, Mr. Dorman, who is with us. Mr. Adams is with us representing the mother, Ms. Lampy, who is with us. And Mr. Hamker is with us representing the intervenor, Ms. Raines, who is with us. That only leaves Andrea Lewis in the waiting room. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. On Remy's case, we asked that the court take judicial notice of the parents' relinquishments of parental rights, both filed on November 29th of 2023.
That's so noted.
I next informed the court that we came to a mediated settlement agreement on October 31st of 2023.
Okay. So noted.
And the basic parameters of that mediated settlement agreement is that Michelle Lampy and Cody Dorman agreed to relinquish their parental rights. They've entered into an adoption agreement with Rochelle Deanne Raines. In addition to that, the department will be named permanent managing conservator of Remy until the adoption is finalized. And then, let's see here, we had in the agreement that the case would be severed, which has already been done. And we agreed in that mediated settlement that it would be reduced to a final order.
Okay. All right, then. Will the adoption agreement be any part of the order or attached to it in any way, or?
No, Your Honor, it's not. I believe that was done separately. For the final order, we have, the basic outline of it is that the department is named permanent managing conservator. Parents are terminated on the K ground only for signing relinquishment. CASA has asked to continue in that case, so we've got a provision that CASA continues involved. Harry, of course, continues involved through domestic relations office representing the child. And let's see here. I think that is the basic parameters, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Adams, you've heard the announcement by Ms. Gutierrez. Is this your client's agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson, you've heard Ms. Gutierrez's rendition. Is this your client's agreement?
That's the understanding of the agreement, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hamker, you've heard the same thing. Is this your client's agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, but I would ask the court, I would like to make the court aware of that prior to the affidavits of relinquishment being filed, there were also 2 sets of statements to confer standing, which were also filed by the Lampys. Would like that noted as of record if you take judicial notice of that, please.
Okay, so noted, and I will note that I've not seen any motions to strike concerning your client's intervention. So, okay, so noted. All right, Mr. Ingram, are you in agreement?
I am in agreement, Your Honor. I believe that as order is stated or agreement is stated is in Remy's best interest.
All right, thank you. All right, and CASA. Is CASA in agreement?
We are in agreement, Your Honor, yes.
Okay, all right. Give me just a minute and I'll be right back to make my announcement. All right, then, based on what I've heard today, I will approve the mediated settlement agreement. I do find that it's in the best interest of parental rights of the mother, Michelle Lampy, and the father, Cody Dorman, be terminated. I terminate those rights today based solely on the affidavits of relinquishment that are on file in this case, as well as Texas Family Code Section 161.001, subsection B1K. I will name the department permanent managing conservator. I'll continue Remy's current placement. The Randall County Domestic Relations Office and CASA will be continued in the case. All other court-appointed relationships will be dismissed after all appellate and de novo periods have expired. All right. I appreciate y'all working that case out. We will stand in recess on that case. Is with us. Mr. Ingram's with us for the children. Mr. Jackson's with us representing Mr. Dorman, who's with us. Mr. Adams is with us representing Miss Lampy, the mother, who is with us. And I still have only Andrea Lewis in the way. All right, she's with us. So Miss Gutierrez, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the department is requesting for this final hearing to be a start and stop, in the sense of recessing after some testimony and then reconvening. Our reason for this request is that we are so happy that the parents are doing this well. It's not often that parents are able to get sober and have their kids returned to them. Our concerns, though, Your Honor, is that the drug history has been long. It has been a struggle, to say the least, for the parents to obtain and maintain sobriety. And the most recent drug screen, it was a positive hair follicle, is from August, which is just a short, what is that? 3.5 months ago. So we are asking for a start and stop today so that the department and St. Francis can continue providing support to the family, and making sure that everything continues as well as it is at this time.
All right. So you want to just take some testimony, recess, and set it for sometime within the next 90 days?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Would you like it as you want it as close out to that 90-day time as we can get it?
I think that would be ideal, Your Honor. Let me
ask for clarification, please. I mean, are we doing a start and stop, or are we doing an extension?
We're not doing an extension. I'm not requesting an extension. We are asking to start the final, since we are up against the extended dismissal date.
We've already extended, Mr. Ingram.
Sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
It's my understanding that there's a dismissal date of 12/23/23.
It is, but the new statutes say that if we recess a final, it has to be completed and heard within 90 days.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Haley, I guess you could be kind of looking at those dates, 90 days.
Your Honor, maybe the end of February would be ideal.
Okay. Okay, we can go ahead and then Haley can give us our date.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So you're just going to put on a bit of testimony?
Yes, Your Honor. The department calls Andrea Lewis as its witness.
Ms. Gutierrez.
Your Honor. Andrea, who do you work for?
I work for the Department of Family and Protective Services.
And how long have you worked for them?
Almost 16 years.
And back in 2022, did the department receive an intake on the Dorman Lampy family?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was the mother in that intake?
Michelle Lampy.
And who was the father?
Cody Dorman.
Did the department receive an intake on April 8th of 2022?
Yes.
And what were the intake allegations?
Michelle had given birth to Remy, and Remy had tested positive at birth.
And what had she tested positive for?
I believe she tested positive for marijuana or marijuana or cocaine. I'm having to look back. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Michelle had tested positive on both hair and urine analysis. Remy tested positive at birth for cocaine.
Okay. And based on that, did the department offer services to the family?
Yes, they were referred to our family-based safety services program.
And are you a family-based safety services caseworker?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
And can you summarize your responsibility to families as a caseworker?
Yes. When they become involved with family-based, we work with them to address whatever is going on with the family, bring in resources from the community, family, providers, so that we can work to address whatever is going on and try to prevent the legal intervention of the department.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Your Honor, at this time, I inquire with the court if that is sufficient evidence for us to recess and reconvene at a later date.
I think so, Ms. Lewis. In the meantime, once we recess, do you believe that the department should continue as temporary managing conservator and the reunification plan with the parents should continue?
I do.
I think that's in the kiddo's best interest.
I do.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's enough for me, but we'll go down the list. Mr. Adams, did you have anything to add as far as today?
Your Honor, I would just note that my client objects to the start and stop and would ask that the case be dismissed today. It has been a long process, but they've done well. And just for the court's record, that they do object.
Okay, well, your client does. You don't think you can speak for the other one. So,
yes, Your
okay.
Honor.
Okay, well, that'll be denied. I do find it's in the children's best interest that we continue the case to be sure that the parents can maintain their sobriety. So, did you have anything else to add, Mr. Adams?
No, Your Honor, no witnesses or anything.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jackson?
Your Honor, I would join in the same objection as Mr. Adams for the same reasons. It's been a long case.
Okay, I understand. Okay, I'll overrule that objection for the same reasons. All right, then, Mr. Ingram, did you have any witnesses?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Ingram, do you have anything to add as far as what we're doing here today?
No, sir.
Okay. And Casa, anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, then I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue the reunification plan of these children with their parents. I find that it's in the children's best interest that we do recess this case to reconvene on February 26th, 2024. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance of February 26th to see exactly what Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Let's see, Mr. Ingram's not with us. There he is. Yeah, Mr. Ingram's with us representing the children. Ms. Lucero's with us representing the mother. Ms. Mitchner's who's with us. Mr. Hill, let me get him in. I'm not sure who he represents.
Your Honor, can we let Michelle Spencer and Kelsey White in as well?
All right, we're just waiting on Mr. Hill to connect to his audio because I'm not sure who he represents. I show Natalie Archer represents Mr. Franklin, the father.
Your Honor, is Ms. Archer in this hearing? Because I don't see her on my end.
That's what I'm saying. She's not with us, but I don't know what Mr. Hill's. I don't show that Mr. Hill represents anyone. Mr. Hill, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Judge. I'm sorry. I'm standing in for Natalie Archer today.
Okay. All right. You're just standing in. That answers that question. Okay. Mr. Hill is standing in for Natalie Archer, who represents Kelly Franklin, the father of the two youngest children, and I show he's incarcerated in Potter County Jail.
That's what Ms. Archer tells me, Judge.
Okay. All right. Then that leaves only a Michael Mitchner in the waiting room.
That is the father of Emberly, Your Honor. He is not a party, but I don't know if the child is with him. I would ask Carrie that question, Your Honor.
He is not scheduled to participate after I spoke with him again last week. But his child is part of this case, and he is placement for that child. So even though he's technically not a party, certainly he's an interested individual.
Is he in a? I don't show any father for Emberly. So is he an adjudicated, presumed, or alleged?
I believe that he is adjudicated, Your Honor. There are prior orders on her. We amended our pleading on Friday. I apologize. Our initial pleading did not correctly identify him as the father of Emberly, but we filed the first amendment on Friday. And that one indicates that the father of Emberly is Michael Mitchner, but it also identifies him as a non-party. If Harry is asking for Mr. Mitchner to be allowed into the hearing, I don't have an objection to it. I don't plan on calling him as a witness, though.
No, if he's the father and his child's involved in this case, then I'll let him come in. So.
And I do have a preliminary question for Mr. Hill before we get started. Mr. Hill, to your knowledge, has Mr. Kelly Franklin communicated with you or Ms. Archer about this case?
He has spoken with Ms. Archer. He does claim to be the father of Killian and Kilgan, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure how you say that. Kylan. He says he was at the hospital when they were born.
Okay. And is he in agreement to working services, Mr. Hill?
He is not real enthusiastic about it. The notes I have say he's a non-offending parent. and he was not around when the incident took place, causing all this to start. So I'm assuming if he has to, he will, but my understanding is that he's not a big fan of it.
Your Honor, because we don't have an agreement on Mr. Franklin's side, unfortunately, I do have to ask for a continuance, perhaps just a week. We have communicated with, we've checked on the service of Mr. Franklin. He has been served, but the return has not been filed yet back with Randall County clerk's office. So at this point, there's no proof of his service in the clerk's file. And with the OTPs, we have to have service on the parties, or they can appear. But without either, Your Honor, I unfortunately have to ask for a continuance to make sure that proof of that gets into the clerk's file.
Okay. Well, with the statement about Mr. Franklin, I think that's probably warranted anyway until Miss Archer can visit with him and show up and maybe even arrange for him to be present for the hearing. I don't know. So, okay.
Judge Graham, I had received a message from my client, Ms. Mitchner, and she advised that I believe Miss Archer represented she represents Mr. Franklin in this case, but I believe she represented Mr. Mitchner whenever the parent Mitchners had I guess a custody or divorce issue. So she didn't know if that was going to be a conflict. She just wanted me to let the court know that.
I'm going to let the lawyers figure that out. Just if y'all would let Miss Archer know what I didn't really understand what you said, Miss Lucero, but
okay. I guess she represented Mr. Mitchner in a prior custody or divorce case, and now she represents Mr. Franklin in this case.
Okay. Well, was a divorce case? She represented Michael Mitchner?
I believe so, yes.
Was it a divorce from Melissa Mitchner?
It was some type of a family law case. Okay.
I'll let y'all figure that out. So,
all right, thank you.
I'm going to grant the department's motion for continuance. I think we'd be better served to have Ms. Archer back, and maybe, like I said, even arrange for her to have her client appear. I don't know if Potter County allows inmates to appear like they do in Randall, but
Judge, I just sent her a text message here 3 or 4 minutes ago, and she did indicate that she was still at lunch.
Okay, all right. Let's just go ahead and set it. If we have to move it, y'all can notify my office, and then we'll look for a reset date. But as of now, I'll grant the department's motion for continuance. I'll reset it to December 11th, 2023. You'll have to go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance to see exactly what time we'll have that hearing on the 11th. Okay, all right, then I will see y'all back on December 11th unless something changes.